Good morning. Thank you all for joining us today. I am Carrie Warwick-Smith, Vice President of Public Policy at the Association for Community College Trustees. Community college leaders are gathered together in Washington, D.C. this week to advocate for our colleges and for our students. One of our top priorities is supporting students' basic needs, from food and housing security to transportation and childcare. In fact, when ACCT launched our Center for Policy and Practice a year and a half ago, we placed basic needs as a key pillar for our first goal of supporting the enrollment and re-enrollment of community college students. Our community college legislative agenda basic needs focus has led to advocacy for SNAP access, support of the PATH Act to get public transportation closer to campuses, and now has brought us together with the National Head Start Association. Today, we are here to explore how bringing together two respected public entities, community colleges and Head Start, can better support students and families. To help us better understand the challenges faced by student parents, I'd like to welcome Howard Community College President Daria Willis to the stage. Previously, Dr. Willis was president of Everett Community College and was a 2021 Aspen Ascend Fellow dedicated to empowering children and families across the country. Please help me welcome President Willis.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Let's try that one more time. I'm a former faculty member. I taught history, so I like a better intro than that. But good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for that wonderful introduction. It is my pleasure to bring you greetings to this session from the amazing, the incomparable, the wonderful Howard Community College, located in the heart of Columbia, Maryland. We are a community of 22,000 students serving as a flagship campus of Howard County and one of the nation's most diverse and affluent counties in America. But not unlike other community colleges, HCC is mission mandated to provide pathways to success for all of our students who are seeking an access to an opportunity. But we hold a special obligation to extend care to students from low-income and underrepresented communities. College access is just one of those challenges that we face in working to equalize conditions for successful learning for every student. But college access is not just about completing an application for enrollment or submitting a FAFSA for funding, as many of you know. It's about addressing food and housing insecurity, textbooks at low or reduced or no cost, and providing mental health resources to keep our students on track and in school. But for thousands of students and for thousands of those students who are student parents across this country, the latter problems that I just mentioned are just the tip of the iceberg, especially when one is responsible for caring for another while taking 15, 18, or 21 credit hours a semester like I did and working full-time. As a former student parent myself who had her daughter at the tender age of 19, I vividly remember making a choice between paying for my utilities versus having enough food to eat, or buying Similac. Y'all remember Eckerd's Drugs? And my mom had the JCPenney credit card that you could go to Eckerd's. That was like her donation to me when I had my kid. But she gave me her Eckerd's her JCPenney card, and I would go to Eckerd's and buy Similac when I had to make a choice between, am I going to have enough dinner to eat for myself, or am I going to be able to support my child and what she needs? And as an undergraduate at Florida A&M University at the time, I remember clearly the difficulty of balancing my academic goals with care for my young daughter. And again, at 19, I knew that I could achieve anything that I wanted, but I also felt the burden of being unseen on campus because of a lack of child care resources. Spaces and people that would have been helpful to support me while I was studying or taking advantage of office hours were difficult. And I know when you all turn on social media and you look online and you see that one professor that's holding that baby and he or she's up at the board scribbling and there's like a million comments like, oh, isn't that so great? But what's the problem with that picture? The problem is symptomatic of a larger issue that we're here to address today, and the fact that you shouldn't have to take your kid to class. Your professor shouldn't have to hold the baby while they're doing their lecture. We should have spaces for those kids designed for those children so that they can learn and grow alongside their parents and right here on community college campuses. Their children should have the ability to learn and grow in a safe environment, but too few of our institutions offer Head Start programs at their students' homes. Further, a study published in 2017 noted that children who attend Head Start for kindergarten are substantially more likely to graduate from high school and college. So this isn't just about making sure that the kids have a safe place to be, but also extending their outcomes for their children and the children that come behind them by giving them a high-quality education. So if community colleges are truly in the business of ending the cycle of poverty for our students, then we cannot ignore the needs of our student parents. So we and they desperately deserve to have reliable child care that supports learning and growth for the brilliant young minds that they created. And it is time for community colleges to step up, and thank you to ACCT for hosting this wonderful opportunity. So with that said, I am privileged to welcome you all to this morning's conversation and an atmosphere for creating dynamic solutions for the students that we love and support, and that we're going to make sure that they make it to the finish line. Thank you all.
Should have had a few more stage directions. That was on me. Thank you so much, Dr. Willis, for framing the challenges facing our student parents nationwide and for sharing your story with us. Balancing parenthood, work, and school should not require a tightrope walk, but unfortunately, it frequently does today. Now I would like to introduce someone who also knows this tightrope walk well and has dedicated her career to being a champion of student parents. Amber Angel, who is program officer at the ECMC Foundation and lead of the Single Motherhoods Initiative. Amber?
Good morning. It's really nice to see so many familiar faces in the audience and so many new ones. Whether you're coming from the place of a policymaker or a grant maker or a filmmaker, we're all change makers, and I see what I did there? I am just really, really thrilled to be here. As Carrie mentioned, I have the honor as serving at ECMC Foundation as the program officer overseeing our Single Mother Success Initiative. ECMC Foundation is a national post-secondary funder really focused on systemic change by removing barriers and closing equity gaps in post-secondary completion, and what an equity gap for student parents to provide them with a key need such as childcare. We are all here, regardless of where we're coming from this work, with in service of and with the over 4 million students today in community colleges that are raising children in the home. You know, when I was making my notes for talking to you all today, I was flashing back to not that many years ago that I was making my notes to be the keynote student speaker for ACCT Leadership Congress when I was a student at a community college in Los Angeles. And when I was writing my notes, I was really, for that speech, I really wanted to come from a place of empowerment. I wanted to come from a place that is true, that my children were the motivation and the inspiration for the hard work of being a student, not the barrier or the negative connotation that we often sometimes talk in, negative mindsets. So, but I also knew that I was coming from a pretty significant place of privilege and that I had really amazing, high-quality on-campus childcare. And so as I was trying to weave that in from my perspective, I shared my notes with my boss at the time, and I said I would not be here today to deliver the speech for ACCT as a student representing the 4 million students if I didn't have this childcare on campus. And she said, you know, Amber, you're really resilient. You would have figured it out. You would have gone into the community and you would have found Head Start. And I remember she specifically said Head Start. And who doesn't like to be told they're awesome and resilient? So I just took it. I was like, sure. But it's not true, because I realized it wasn't until I had an education, till I was informed, till I was taught how to navigate those systems, that I would have even had that wherewithal to find that in the community. I wouldn't know that I would have even sought childcare had I not had this audacious goal of bettering my life through education. I'm the youngest of 8, the first in my family to go to college. I did it with a 2-year-old. My water broke in my 8 a.m. math class, and I stand here still today to tell you that I'm here because I had that high-quality on-campus childcare. And I also am a better parent from it, and I think that we often don't talk about that, of the importance of that, which I think can all agree National Head Start is the leader in this space of parent education and high quality. Seeing my children's interactions with their teachers, being able to go to the on-campus childcare between classes, have lunch with them, was really important. And so, as you can imagine, this project is really important to me personally, but professionally, when ECMC Foundation created the initiative and invested in this work in 2021, specifically saying we're going to make a mark on single mothers' success. At that time, for a single mother that enrolled at a community college that graduated or received any type of certificate within 6 years was just 11%. Despite the fact that student parents make much higher GPA percentages than their non-parenting peers, it's lack of support, lack of resources. So when Abigail Selden came to me with a meeting to show me her civic mapping research that showed that the median distance between a Head Start and a community colleges was less than 2 miles, and that there was this, and she had ACCT and National Head Start at the table to say, let's see if this is gonna stick. Let's see if we can do something here. You can imagine I was floating on cloud 9 that whole day in the office. But we just know that just because we have an idea doesn't mean that it comes to fruition. And so I just would like to thank the funders in the room who have put their money where their mouth is, who hire student parents, who bring student parents to the center and to invest in this work. And I didn't bring my sheet of all of them, but I know you have that in front of you. So thank you to all the funders. And then last but not least, to the fearless leaders who are get amazing ideas about how we could better support students in general, right? ACCT leads over 1,000 community colleges in the country, and National Head Start has over 50, 80 years of doing amazing programming to say, you know what, let's do this. This matters. We're going to really take this, and we're going to work to better support these students. So with that, I'd like to bring up and introduce Ji Hang, who has been the fearless leader behind saying, let's invest in this, and let's try to convince all of our boards of trustees to invest in this. And so I'm just really, really thrilled. So thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, everyone. So, first, Amber, this is very personal for me because, at ACCT, we've been investing in basic needs work, and your story is so powerful for me. And yesterday, we talked about basic needs and your story and the powerfulness of your story, and we are continuing to push your story. So, first and foremost, your championing of all of this work is paramount to us. And also we're very proud that you're a community college graduate, and we are thankful that the ECMC Foundation is supporting this work. And also my dear friend, Abigail, and her wonderful foundation, the Selden Herring Smith Foundation, they joined us last year and said, what do you think about this wonderful idea? And we were like, sure, this is amazing. This is a wonderful idea. And they initiated this kickstarting of this project with a planning grant. And joining these two foundations in support of this 5-year project will be the Manageable Futures, the Annie E. Casey Foundation, the Crimson Bridge Foundation, and the Trellis Foundation. Last year, during our planning grant, we heard from colleges around the country about the challenges of running a child care center on campus. Colleges are not experts in running child care centers, go figure that. And the costs are often prohibitive for students to be able to participate. However, over 100 college campuses right now are already participating with Head Start centers around the country, and that demonstrates that we can bring Head Start centers and community colleges together, and they can work together to bring student parents, and we can reduce these burdens on college campuses and provide these benefits to Head Start programs on college campuses. With over 3,000 community college campuses and over 17,000 Head Start sites, there is an opportunity to form far more partnerships. Okay, let's say that again. 3,000 campuses and 17,000 Head Start sites, okay? We can work harder to bring these partnerships together. There is an opportunity to form far more partnerships that will support both student parents and their children and Head Start programs and their families. Our goal is to serve as a catalyst for the concept to co-locate Head Starts on community colleges to demonstrate that there is a successful partnership. One partnership that is already underway is at Dr. Willis's institution, Howard Community College in Maryland. They quickly raised their hand to say that they wanted to participate in this project, on the Kids on Campus project, and their local Head Start program agreed. If your college is interested in participating, if they are interested in participating, please use the QR code on the agenda sheet. There is a QR code. You can sign up there to stay engaged and express how you would like to participate. This work is only possible because of the willingness for Head Start programs to partner with colleges. To that end, I'm thrilled to be working with NSHA and to have their deputy director here. I'm like, where are you? Here to share more with our colleges about Head Start's interest in this partnership. Tommy, if you want to come up.
Well, thank you, Jiang, and good morning, everyone. I come from working in Capitol Hill and policy and these types of things at National Head Start Association, and so could just sense the energy of the hotel as I was, stuck for 20 minutes trying to get to the front, as everybody was going up there to Capitol Hill to talk to everybody. So really excited to be able to join you all today. Thank you all for sticking around and talking about this. We are so thrilled for this conversation. It's been a long time coming. It's been something that we've been talking about for actually decades. I remember I've been with NHSA about 14, 15 years now, and about 10, 12 years ago, I don't know, I'm being old now, but back in those days, we were talking about there's such an opportunity with community colleges. There's such an opportunity because Head Start is in every community across the country, right? We span every county across America, and we have centers and sites and the ability to serve children and families who really need it the most in these communities all over the country. But at the same time, the reason why Head Start is successful when it is because of partnerships. Right? And it's because Head Start is focused on the children. That is our overall goal, making sure that those kiddos, when they leave Head Start, they're ready for school, they're ready for life, they're going to be able to achieve success. But what's so important as part of that ability to achieve success after age 5 is their parents, right? Is their caregivers. And so making sure that there's stability, making sure that there's an opportunity to succeed, making sure that mom or dad, aunt or uncle, whoever the caregiver is, feels empowered, right? To be able to be there for their children and make sure that there's food on the table, make sure that they have the space to do their homework, make sure that there's joy in their lives, right? All of these things that are so critical for children to grow up successful, it starts with your parents. It starts with caregivers, right? And so figuring out how we can empower, how we can build on that multi-generation model of Head Start and early Head Start is something that we are just so thrilled. And I think looking at community colleges who also are everywhere across the country, who also play such a critical role in the lives of low-income children and families, it's just a partnership that should have taken place a lot earlier, right? We looked into doing something about this 10, 15 years ago, and it kind of, there was some interest, but not a whole lot. And then we met Abigail, and we're talking about some of the work here. We met ACCT, and it was like, wow, this is a match made in heaven. This is obvious. It's a win-win-win, right? It's a win for everybody on this space, and it just makes the most sense. So we are so thrilled, so honored to be a founding partner of this group. I think, parents have choices when it comes to early childhood education, and parents have needs that sometimes they know, sometimes they don't know, right? Because they don't have the word out in front of them. And we know that the number one driver in childcare is generally location, right? Making sure that it makes sense when you're on. Obviously, there's other things that factor in quality and affordability and other types of things like that. But really, the number one driver is where it is. Is it on the way to work? Is it on the way to school? And so co-locating Head Start and community colleges just makes so much sense. I want to conclude by just saying, and I know that the panel will come up here and talk a little bit more about the specifics. Let me say two things, actually. One is that we announced this at we had a big fly-in similar to this a couple weeks ago. We had announced this, we had talked about it at a few different of our events, and people come out of the woodwork in the Head Start community to say, yes, I want in. Where do I sign up? I mean, within minutes of us announcing this and putting this out there, everybody was jumping because they saw it as such an opportunity, as something that they say, yeah, the community college, it's across the street, or it's a mile away, or whatever. We used to have a partnership. Maybe we could have a bigger one. Maybe what could this look like? And Head Start is all in. So I'm here to share that we're here. We're excited to work with you all. We're excited to partner, excited to see where this work goes. At the end of the day, Head Start is an anti-poverty program. That is really what we fundamentally are through and through. Yes, it's about child development. Yes, it's about parent engagement and parent support, all of these things. But fundamentally, our goal is to disrupt intergenerational poverty. And I hate to say it, but poverty is also a choice. It's a choice that Congress makes. It's a choice that the administration makes. It's a choice that local elected officials make. We have the ability, we have the resources to be able to stop these types of things from happening, stop poverty from happening, and really support children and families across the country. We know that there's effective tools like Head Start, like the child tax credit, right, which they're talking about right now up on the Senate, like community colleges. And I think it's important for us, while they're still working their stuff out, although I know there's some of the staff are in the room and they're doing great work helping us. But while they're working all that out, there's also opportunity for us to make the choice to disrupt that at the local level. And that's really what I see this partnership doing, and really what I see the opportunity here. So thank you again to ACCT. Thank you to all of the funders. We are so excited to see where this goes. And while this is just an initial step today, I'm really excited to see where we're going to be able to take this overall. Thanks, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Steve Jurch. I am the Associate Vice President at the Center for Policy and Practice, so we will be overseeing this project, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to, again, thank Tommy and the National Head Start Association for their support and their partnership. This partnership, as Tommy was talking about, makes a lot of sense. It's been around, the concept's been around for a little while, and so we're very excited to be able to work with that organization to help remove this barrier for student parents. But now I want to turn to a conversation with some people who are supporting and participating in this initiative in a few different ways. We know that these types of innovative and landscape-changing initiatives takes the support of leadership. So with us today, we have two community college leaders who are taking this challenge head-on and impacting their institutions in a way that supports their students to help them succeed. And to help us understand the perspective from Head Start, we're going to hear from someone who has been working tirelessly with us for over the last year on this project to give us a better understanding of how Head Start helps both families and students. So I'd like to welcome Dr. Willis back to the stage. And joining her are Dr. John Maduco and Victoria Jones from the National Head Start Association. If you guys could join me on stage. I'll slide out of the way so they don't trip over me. Let's see, what seats do you want to sit? It doesn't matter. I'll take this one. So before we get to the questions, I just want to tell you about who is on this stage and how awesome they are. So first I want to share a little bit more about Dr. Willis. In addition to being the first African American to lead Howard Community College and an Aspen Institute Ascend Fellow, Dr. Willis most recently received the Daily Record's 2022 Most Influential Marylander and the Baltimore Business Journal's 40 Under 40 and the 2023 cohort of VIP Women of Influence. And Dr. John Maduco serves as the inaugural president of Connecticut State Community College, the largest community college in New England, serving over 70,000 students annually across 20 locations statewide. Before his appointment at Connecticut State, Dr. Maduco was the vice president for academic and student affairs at Minnesota State Community and Technical College. Dr. Maduco also earned his MD in allopathic medicine from St. Matthew's University School of Medicine. And last but not least, Victoria Jones is National Head Start Association's Senior Director of Data. She supports the Head Start field's efforts to advance child and family outcomes by helping Head Start programs use data to inform their practice and move towards a culture of continuous quality improvement. And her portfolio not only includes the Kids on Campus project, but she leads the Data Design Initiative and contributes to other projects that directly support practitioners in the field. All right, so. All right, so we'll start with Dr. Willis. So we've talked about the main goal of this project is to create a sustainable model for co-location partnerships between Head Start and community colleges. So you are currently working, as mentioned before, with your Head Start to create this partnership. So could you tell us a little bit about what the driver was behind wanting to undertake this initiative, but then also share a little bit about what that process looked like?
Thank you for that, and thank you for y'all letting me just walk off the stage gracefully and come on for real this time. But so I'll try to tell this as quickly as I can. So the first time I tried to do this type of a partnership was at my previous institution, and it failed. The community was not supportive. They didn't want to hear anything of it. And I was truly heartbroken by it because it was in the middle of the pandemic. I did not want to close my center. However, we couldn't afford it. So I thought, well, maybe we could do a different operating model. Didn't work. Then the wonderful trustees, and there's one of my trustees, Vivian Moore, lawyer. Raise your hand, Vivian. They selected me for Howard Community College's position as president, and I was so excited. And one of the interesting things was when I got on campus, people complained about two things right off the bat. We're building a new center, and we can't rebuild or put the swimming pool in that building. So all of my older folks was like, what happened to our swimming pool? Can you bring that back? And then it was the younger folks on campus saying, but we need a child care center. So I had to sit and go, eeny, meeny, miny, no to the swimming pool. And yeah, let's try to bring this Children's Learning Center back. And obviously with my background, being a student parent, that was very, very important for me. So really getting the buy-in for this was not difficult in Howard County, Maryland. It was wonderful because I could call my county exec and say, this is what we're trying to do, will you support us? Went to my trustees, this is what we want to do. And the trustees were like, great, go forth and do your thing. And then we called the Community Action Council, a woman named Tracy Broccolino. And as presidents do, we don't get into the dirty details. I just tell my staff, this is what I want, go make it happen. And next thing I know, we applied for the C Campus grant. We had the support of our organization and our local Head Start, and then our county executive and other administrators on campus. And so we hope to be opening our center in August of 2024 after closing it during the pandemic.
Wow, that's impressive. I didn't realize that all that went into it. And it's interesting how you have to engage, not just, you obviously make the decisions at the institution, but you have to build in some of these other stakeholders from the county to the trustees to, even the on-site staff. So, Dr. Maduka, I want to ask you the next question. So we've talked, or Dr. Willis shared, from an institution perspective, you have a new role. So Connecticut has undergone some major transformations over the last couple of years, and you're in a unique position to influence all of the campuses across your state. So as you work to support your students, what do you see as your role at the system level in working to create a solution for this?
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, everyone. So for starters is to, beyond simply being the institutional president, being really the chief student advocate officer. Right, and making sure that we place the center of our work around our student needs. That comes from echoing, President Willis's earlier sentiments about being mission-driven. But in addition, we have to be data-informed. So 41% of our students. So again, we serve 70,000 students. Largest community college in New England. We're the biggest college in Connecticut, where 1 out of 4 undergraduate students in the state is a student of my institution. So that's a big responsibility. But we have to be data informed. So recently, 41% of all students surveyed reported that they are primary child care providers, right? So that's a massive number, right? So to align and support that, we are fortunate that 7 of our main campuses have lab schools and early childhood education child care centers, right? So we are the leader in early childhood development, workforce development in our state. But what we recognize is the majority of kiddos in our lab schools are the kiddos of our employees, right? So that delta is a huge gap. And many of our students are requesting we need drop-in childcare, right? So in partnership with our campus leaders, in partnership with our state system, in partnership with the governor's office and General Assembly, we're really pushing forward to address the childcare crisis in Connecticut, a state that has the highest levels of wealth in the country, but also the highest levels of poverty in the country, right? And many of our students, many of our campuses are adjacent, if not within those communities.
No, that's a very interesting perspective, and that's part of the goal of this project is these partnerships with Head Start. But as you've heard, there's already existing other types of child development or child care on campus. So it's taking Head Start and weaving it into that, or starting with Head Start as the anchor institution and then moving from there. So if I could ask you a follow-up. So Connecticut has 17 Head Start grantees. Now, none of those are currently located on any campus. So, and I understand that there are some initiatives from the governor and the State Department of Early Childhood that could dovetail with what we're doing with this project. So I don't know if you could speak a little bit about that.
Yeah, so, kudos to Governor Ned Lamont. So for starters, he sets the tone in the state of Connecticut regarding the partnership of public higher education, including our community college and all the state agencies. 2, we recognize that there's not only a child care crisis, but we have child care deserts within the state where child care is inaccessible. So he initiated a blue ribbon panel for early childhood, brought together state agencies. A plan was finalized in December. So he'll be announcing this plan where it's basically a $2 billion plan over the course of 5 years to really level up the infrastructure of child care, right? So more wages for the teachers, right? More subsidies for the parents, flexible credentialing, right? Flexible child care centers, and really ensuring that there's more continuity between community and higher ed and employers, right? So that's a huge initiative and really epitomizes what's going on in Connecticut in terms of we all have to contribute to this growing crisis that's impacting our communities and obviously community college students.
Yeah, and we'll get to this in just a minute, but it is important to have that sort of state support, state leadership support behind you. But I want to turn to Victoria. So you've heard a couple of things today around, okay, we have, C-Campus grants, we have other types of childcare on campus, but Head Start is very different and very unique. It's an approach that not only supports the child, but also the whole family, and it really takes that two-generation approach. So if you could share with us a little bit about how Head Start works, some of its benefits for both parents and children, and then how these supports help parents who are trying to be successful.
Absolutely. Excited to be here, everyone, and apologies, forgive my voice post-cough. Anyone who has had kids around knows that those things come really whipping through from daycare. So for the last 58 years, Head Start has been our kind of communal national commitment to making sure that every vulnerable child has opportunities to succeed in school and life beyond. And so Head Start itself is a federally funded program where the money goes from federal directly to the local community-based organizations. Head Start, as Tommy shared, there's about 1,600 organizations that receive grants. There's about 17,000 centers nationwide, and they are really community-driven and based on really what each individual community needs. There's a Head Start center in the base of the Grand Canyon that is run by a tribe. There are Head Starts in Alaska where kids get to school sometimes via snowmobile. There are centers, just within a mile of here in the middle of a city. There are centers kind of out in rural Georgia. So all of these centers, all of these programs are incredibly unique, but all committed to that big national goal of supporting children and families. And the way we kind of describe that is whole child, whole family. Head Start serves children prenatal through 5 when they head off to the public school system. And kids can't learn if there isn't food in their bellies. They can't learn if they have a toothache that hasn't been addressed. So those kind of basic need requirements, the physical, mental, emotional needs of children, but then also the support of their families. Head Start at most has children for about 5 years. Parents have their kids 18 years and much longer. And so when we think about the stability and breaking the cycle of poverty and supporting that whole family, that means engaging with the families as well, teaching them about child development and understand how their child is learning and growing and how they can support that, setting goals for themselves and saying, I want to improve my English, or I want to go back to school. I want to get a certification that's going to allow me to have a stable job to support my family long term. And those are all things that Head Start programs inherently do, and bring parents in as leaders so they can be advocates for themselves and their children moving forward.
Yeah, so that's a lot different than when someone just says childcare or daycare. That's a lot of resources and support. So you and I have spent a significant amount of time over the last year building out these resources, establishing, just trying to gather information on partnerships, what makes them work, why did they not work. So could you share some of the information that we discovered throughout this last year around benefits to centers that are located on campuses?
We have learned so many things, and one of them is that this is not crazy. That's the greatest part. This is already happening some places, and just by us starting to talk about it, colleges and Head Starts are starting to talk and say, let's be friends, let's make this happen. So from the Head Start perspective, we think about it both in terms of benefits for the centers and the Head Start program itself and for the children and families. So from the center's perspective, free and discounted space is definitely a big thing. When you think about the budgets and also the requirement for Head Start programs to have that community commitment. Their Head Start budget is only supposed to cover 80% of their costs, and the other 20% is supposed to come from that community support. So free or discounted space is a big contribution to that and a kind of demonstration of the community's commitment and engagement in that effort. There's also really good opportunities when it comes to workforce and training. If you're in a community college campus and they have an early childhood program, or even if they have dental hygienists in training who could come in and give teeth cleanings to kids, that workforce pipeline for teachers to get to do their practicum, to get real-world experience in the classroom and know that there's somewhere that they like that could have a job for them afterwards. Also thinking about Head Start parents who are setting goals for themselves and may need to take some classes, get a certificate, get a degree to be connected directly with that community college where they feel safe and have this kind of structure built around them to go through it together. So from the center's perspective, there's a lot of benefits. And then for the kids and families, one of the big things is just that model of higher education. for kids who are in school to go to school every day with their parents. See their parent going to work and learning and going to classes is a really good model. It's also kind of bringing that accessibility back to parents. We have some great stories we've heard of people who just happen to bring their child to a or to a child care center that's on a campus. They're not enrolled, they're just from the community. And they start going every day and seeing it, and it becomes accessible. And they say, well, maybe I'll just take a class or two. Like, I'll try it out. I'll see what this is all about. And so that's support and engagement from the community and from the Head Start side to help you get through classes, introduce you to the other parents on campus who are dealing with midterms and studying with a kid at home the same as you, is a really big benefit.
No, and so hopefully you're getting a picture of what's happening here, that this just makes sense. We need to do this. But we all know that you can't just magically snap your fingers and make it happen. So you need some sort of resources behind this. And so, Dr. Meduco, you talked earlier about some initiatives coming out of your state through the governor and his administration. So we know these types of things don't run on magic dust. But can you talk a little bit about are they putting their money where their mouth is? Are they providing some resources?
So for us, it's twofold. So as an institution, obviously it's been mentioned, the sustainability financially of running child care centers as a community college. So as Connecticut State Community College, we provide a $2 million subsidy every year, right, to make sure that we cover the cost of personnel, overhead, et cetera, right? Like, we're just simply committed to that. In addition, our General Assembly in Connecticut has approved a $10 million allocation to our system to address renovations of our facilities, expansion of our facilities, upgrades and safety, you name it, right? So again, that's point blank a demonstration where our legislators are investing in this great need, not only on our campuses but statewide.
No, that's impressive. So they're really coming to the table, but not all states have those resources or are willing to make them available. So, Victoria, we talked earlier about, or I mentioned earlier about why Head Start would be a good institution on campus, especially when it comes to the financial stability. And we know that federal support for childcare that was, during the pandemic has stopped. And so that's impacting a lot of these centers as well. So when you look at Head Start as an option for a child care center on campus, what makes it a good choice, both from an access perspective and a financial perspective?
I think the big thing is that Head Start is a pretty stable funding stream, relatively speaking, to some of the other options. And that money is really committed to the community. And so there's some reliability there in knowing that this funding stream is continuing each and every year. But Head Start's also kind of inherent collaboration with other community partners brings a lot of opportunity for serving not just those who are eligible for Head Start, but bringing in other streams. This, Head Start funding can work with C-Campus dollars, with state kind of voucher or pre-K programs, even with like a sliding scale private pay model. And so there's a really good option to either bring Head Start into what's existing already, or start with Head Start as the anchor and build from there to meet all of those financial needs.
No, that's so important. And so I want to turn back to Dr. Willis. So you mentioned you have a C-Campus grant, you're exploring this partnership with Head Start. Now, Governor Moore recently dedicated significant new funding to the Child Care Scholarship program, which is another way to fund child care in the state. So looking at all of those things together, how do you think that state support is going to impact your ability to provide this service for your students?
I think it's going to be monumental for us. One of the things that we have to put in context, especially for where we are in Howard County, Maryland, is people are just becoming clued into the fact that we have students with needs. We laugh, but it's a very affluent county. I mean, we have a high rate of people who have bachelor's, master's, PhDs riding around in Mercedes, that I call them, all the things they do, right? And so, but then there are these deep pockets, as you were saying, Dr. Meduco, of people who are in the have-nots category. So having this extra funding that's coming from the state, and with Governor Moore's background as an Aspen Ascend Fellow as well, so he has that mind of wanting to participate and help with children and families, and tying in the fact that we are community colleges, and community is in our middle name. Because there's this whole system where people wanted to drop community out of that. And to me, when you do that, you miss the part of being able to partner with the different local agencies that can help you provide the levels of funding and support that you need. So Head Start is one of those levels of support. Yay us, we got it, you know, they're in. Then you also have C Campus. Then you have the revenue streams from the governor. And then what the college can also put into that. So when you talk about the free or reduced buildings, I was like, oh, is that all we have to do? Yeah, we could do that because we already take care of the building as is. What else you got for me? But I mean, it's a matter of, and as you were saying, the $2 million subsidy every year, it's a matter of what are you willing to give and take, and how are you willing to put those resources together to support the whole student. And in Howard County, we are just beginning to see, like at our college, we are nearing 50% of our population who are Pell eligible. But I tell y'all, I have never been in a college where I've had to make the case. I've always come from places where the case was already there for me. But here I've got to make the case and say, yeah, but these are the students that we have. Here is the data that shows you who we're dealing with. So it's an exciting opportunity to get people to understand it, but it's also an even more exciting opportunity to see that the state resources partner with Head Start, with a national organization, with what the college can do, and the various resources of us all pulling together to support students. And I'll say one last thing. 10 or 12 years ago, this was not the conversation. Especially when you were talking about like food insecure and all that. We thought it was cute when students had to eat ramen noodles. Ha ha ha, that's like part of the college environment. When you put food pantries on campuses, they were tucked away somewhere in a closet, and the students were ashamed to go to those locations. But now we have a plethora of community organizations that are helping us with students who are housing insecure and food insecure, and now we're getting to the part where we're talking about our student parents. So it's exciting, it's a little daunting at times, but it's about time for us to be in this business.
So thank you for that. And it's so important, and it's interesting to see how, you have set the tone at the campus level, but it's also helpful to have that support from the state level, when you're trying to either make your case or just promote what you're doing. So I want to close out by just asking Dr. Maduco and Dr. Willis a final question. So as part of this project, National Head Start and ACCT are going to be providing technical assistance, we're going to be providing coaching, we're going to be providing other guidance, developing resources along the way. So if you could share very briefly what some advice might be to someone who wants to get in and create these partnerships from either at an institution or...
Mine's gonna be really brief.
Okay.
Be like Nike and just do it. Everything else will fall into place. So I think we get nervous about like jumping in and taking risks and who's gonna pay for this. You'll figure it out as you go along the road. Get all the coaches the support that you need, but just get it done.
I have to fall here, right? One, believe our students, right? So when our students tell us their truth, believe them, right? I think two, leverage the resources both locally and nationally, like our great leader and partner ACCT. And then last but not least, when you're in a room of those very stakeholders who might not get it, ask them about their situation. Tell them, okay, remove your transportation, remove your childcare, right? Remove your housing, remove the food, remove all these things. Those are the very conditions our students have to battle day in and day out, right? Now imagine having now to go to work and do X, Y, and Z, right? So we have to do a better job crystallizing the realities that our students are going through. Not that our students are less than. Our students have always been worthy, have always been, intelligent. It's simply the conditions that we have to create to enable them to be successful.
No, that is, this has been some great information, and hopefully it's inspired you, it's informed you, but I just want to say thank you again to our fantastic panel, so if everyone would give them a round of applause. And so now I would like to, as we're transitioning panels, we're just going to ask Amber to come back up from ECMC Foundation. Right. Yes. She is going to be speaking with a student. I was getting there. It's okay. And she's going to have a conversation with a student parent to share a little bit more about that lived perspective, because part of this project that we really wanted to build in was that lived experience from that student parent perspective. And so we've built that into this project, but we want to share a little bit more information about, to give you a little bit better firsthand experience with that. So.
That was fun. Thank you, sir. Sure, thank you.
So Abigail's our student. She's going to come join us on stage. You guys can just take the middle seat.
Well, hi again, everyone. It's really important to not have a conversation about us without us. And so whether it's leading with student voice in various ways, whether that be Dr. Willis as a president or now as a funder, you really are. This is what this is about. And so I'm so excited, and thank you for taking the time away from your day and life to be here.
Of course.
I'd just love to give you the mic to introduce yourself, your school, your kids.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Abigail, and I am a single parent to a 3-year-old little boy named Amir. I currently attend HCC. My major is criminal justice. Being a single parent has definitely been a journey, an experience, especially wanting to create a better life for me and my son by working and going to school. Just trying to figure out everything has been a little bit of a struggle, but it's definitely been an experience to remember. This is my second year at HCC. And I'm proud to say that I will be graduating with my associates in May. When I first started at HCC, I didn't think that I was gonna make it this far. Trying to work and then find someone to watch my son was definitely very stressful. It was very hard to keep on going, keep on pushing myself, to motivate myself that, there's gonna be a better outcome, a greater outcome. Before this, I dropped out 3 times from school, just not having anyone to watch him, asking different family members and friends and everybody, having their own lives and their own excuses as to why they couldn't really help me in that way. So right now, being at HCC, I've only taken online classes just because finding childcare while being in school was just something I was not able to do. I'm finally taking my first in-person class this semester, and childcare is still very hard just because, daycare is not open at that time, and I'm taking it week by week, just trying to find people to watch him while I can get this course in and in order to graduate in time. I just feel like childcare on campus is just very important. I know so many single parents and so many of my friends who are single parents who just want to go back to school but are not able to just because they just don't have the time. They're not able to find someone to watch their kid. I definitely feel like we're not accommodated as well as other students just because, we have a little bit extra and more going on. So I definitely feel like having a childcare center on HCC would definitely motivate many, many, many single parents to go back to school, just knowing that they have someone who's watching their child and they're safe and they can get them right after class. I feel like it's just very motivating, and I feel like it definitely will make a change into having more single parents be able to graduate and get their degree and just create a better life for them and their kids.
So definitely this project and this program and your commitment to this would benefit you. You're about to graduate, which
Yes,
is
I am.
exciting. But you haven't had that yet. And so as you were just speaking and just thinking about that belongingness too, I know the institution I was at, 30% of the students were student parents. Yeah, I walked around that campus every day feeling completely alone. And had I had, like you said, you know so many single moms that would like to go back, like, what is it that has kept you in school for what you've come back 3 times of, like, incredibly driven, and obviously you started with wanting to make a better life for your son, but has there been anything at the institutional level that has, like, motivated you and kept you there outside of childcare?
Well, HCC is not my first school. It's actually my second, and I decided to stay here just because I feel like compared to the school I went to previously, they were able to accommodate me more with having online classes that I can take at my own time. So I feel like that's definitely helped me in a way compared to the other school, which is why I feel like that also motivated me to stay here. Also my professors, I had a professor who also had a child, and the advice she would give me and just motivating me through class, just, you know, letting me know that I can do it. I feel like just having those professors there who are able to just be understanding and then just motivate you to, you know, keep on going, keep on moving forward, has definitely helped me to stay at HCC and pursue my degree.
Definitely having representation for the students that you're serving at your institution is important. And flexibility. I had the privilege of going to Germanna Community College in Fredericksburg, Virginia last Friday on a site visit, and they had developed through their parenting program a class. They didn't have childcare, but they had a classroom with some resources and toys, and they had it live streamed. They had set up their IT department so that if there was an emergency, those students could be in that class with their kid and be live streaming it into their courses. And we know that's not always, we don't always want to bring our kids on campus. You know, we want, like, in class with us. But, you know, I'm just wondering how you're thinking about the support you've received at Howard Community College that is, like, stuck. You've had the support from your professor. You're graduating. What are your goals? What are your aspirations? What's next?
Well, my goal is definitely to transfer and get my bachelor's. I'm not exactly sure, like, you know, what career path I want to go down. I just know that I do want to make a difference. I want to be able to help make a change just in the life that we're living. My major is criminal justice, and I just feel like the justice system itself is very, very flawed. So I just feel like I want to be able to make a difference in helping, you know, change the flaws in that system and just make it equal to everybody.
You know, I often think sometimes that, like, I remember being really, really nervous as a student speaker and being on the stage and looking out into this crowd. And now I get so fueled by the idea that really you're the expert of their job. You're the expert of your lived experience and of your life. And, like, you have chancellors and policymakers and directors and college presidents here, and you have the mic. So with that, I just, you know, we've talked a lot about childcare today, and obviously that's something, like, you still need access to. What would you say to everyone in this room of, like, what as you continue your education, what are some things, you've been to 2 institutions, like, what are some things beyond childcare, like, I'll just share my one example to kick off is, you know, childcare is not just childcare so I could be in class. It's like I have to come back and do group studying. I have to come back and, like, group projects were the worst, and coordinating. But, like, tutoring, I wasn't very good at math. like that needs to be accounted for, right? And being able to bring my kid to campus so they know why I'm spending all this time away from them. So like, what are some things that that they could take back to their own colleges?
I would say just creating a safe space for the kids. I feel like, I know childcare is not like 24 hours, but it would be nice to not only have childcare like in the morning or afternoon, but we also do have evening classes as well. So it's like when 6:30 comes and childcare is closed, like where do I go from there? And I have a class that starts at 7 o'clock. I just feel like being a little bit open-minded and having childcare, that kind of corresponds with the hours of each student's class would be very, very helpful. Just providing the resources for parents who are also struggling, like, it's not just childcare. Sometimes it has to do with housing or not having enough food or healthcare. So I feel like just providing other resources as well to parents who are in need can be very helpful when they're bringing their child to childcare as well.
I will just say that that little girl I told you that her water broke in my 8 a.m. math class is now will be 11. And when we talk at the dinner table about what she's going to go to school for, not if, breaking that cycle, she's like, "What are you talking about? I already went to college." I'm like, "You went to preschool at college, Everly. You still got to go." So I just want to say that I'm excited for your son to continue this journey with you.
Thank you.
And to see where his future scholar journey leads him, and you too. And I know this won't be the last that we hear of you. And if you have any last things you want to share.
Well, I want to give a big thanks to HCC for helping me just to be able to get through this, just providing different resources and programs for me, such as Career Links, which is something that's helped me a lot, such as helping me with textbooks, scholarships to pay for tuition, helping me find resources to pay my rent, to have low-income housing. HCC has definitely benefited me more than just helping me get my degree in my classes. So I want to give a big thanks to them.
If anyone knows of any other scholarships for her or internships or any resources, you know where to find her. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much. And I think that's the end of programming, Carrie.
Thank you again, everyone, for being here with us today. Thank you to Amber for leading this movement nationwide, and for ECMC and all of our other funders' supports. Thank you, Abigail, for taking time out today to be with us, to share your story. Congratulations on graduation. Just one final reminder, colleges and Head Starts who are interested in participating can sign up to stay engaged and receive updates about next steps on the project by visiting either acct.org and going to the Kids on Campus webpage that's on the Center for Policy and Practice tab, or by using the QR code on the agenda, so please take that with you, and that will take you directly to the page as well. Please continue your work on campus to support student parents. We look forward to staying in touch for this important part of the work. Thank you.